Hello everyone, welcome back to the Inn. Let's just get right to it. We're starting with Spectral Cutlass. 4 costs, 2 attack, 2 durability. It's got lifesteal, and whenever you play a card from another class, you gain +1 durability. So of course your rogue weapon looks nice. Got a nice little ability to go along with it, but don't think it sees play because you got Kingsbane. And Kingsbane versus this, you're gonna take Kingsbane every day of the week. So, I mean, if you don't have Kingsbane, you can use this. But if you got Kingsbane, Kingsbane. But
Well, I know that we speculate about, well, maybe Burgle Rogue has like a really cool weapon it can use because it can get that durability up. It's one of those things that 2 attack is not great, especially for a lifesteal weapon. You kind of want the attack to be up a little bit more, and for Rogue to then boost up the attack of Spectral Cutlass means that the Burgle Rogue deck would be taken away from what it kind of wants to do, which is kind of just burgle and start playing your class. So I don't think this is what they want to do in particular. Also, just the fact that, let's be honest, Burgle Rogue really didn't play Obsidian Shards, so I don't think they're going to play Spectral Cutlass. It's one of those things that I think for there to be a Burgle Rogue-esque weapon, it needs to be really good. And the fact of the matter is we haven't really seen that. And if it was really good for Burgle Rogue, it'd probably be really good for regular Rogue. And again, you have Kingsbane. I just don't think this sees play, even in Burgle Rogue, which is where Blizzard kind of just wants to slot this card in.
you got Kingsbane, so Kingsbane.
And even in the decks that don't play Kingsbane that could make use of it, they're just not going to because that has nothing to do with their game plan, and it's just not that great. Next up, we have Bogshaper, which is a 7-cost 4/8 Shaman Elemental, with the effect whenever you cast a spell, draw a minion from your deck. So I'm trying to imagine this hypothetical, overpowered Shaman deck they're trying to paint the picture of. So you play a bunch of stuff to get random shaman cards, OP Shaman cards. By the way, that since we last talked about how, you know, the next 5 non-legendary slots need to be spells. Well, it wasn't, guys. I'm sorry, it's dead in the water. But anyway, let's talk about this hypothetical OP deck. With these hypothetical OP cards that we're just not seeing, and given that we only have rares and commons left, it's probably not going to happen. I'm sorry. So these OP mystical cards, okay, that you're randomly getting, all of which have overload, so you really can't take full advantage of them. And and it has to be very minion based, so you start slamming minions down. Then you put down Bogshaper. So now, you know, your deck already has the identity crisis of wanting to be the crazy spell deck and wanting to be the crazy minion deck because they need the minions with Hagatha to draw more spells. But Hagatha is going to go and damage and probably kill most of your minions, unless they're the big stuff ball. But well, okay, sure, why not? Still doesn't really mesh with where you want to go. But let's just say that you also need a bunch of minions to basically get spells, which means you're, you know, shoving spells that you might actually want to use back. And then Bogshaper has you where you use the few spells you have. When you use the few spells you have, you start drawing minions. So now you're drawing minions out. It's like, it's very minion heavy, Bulba. Alright. And you're drawing minions and drawing minions and drawing minions. And your deck is starting to get very low. And you're not really doing anything with your deck. Hagatha is kind of now acting as your card draw by giving you spells when you play minions, but you're running through those minions very quickly because of Bogshaper. So essentially, it's supposed to be a spell-focused shaman deck, but no, it's a minion-focused shaman deck that gives you spells, random shaman spells, which aren't that great, and it also has to be aggressive because you're going to be running through your deck really quickly. But if it's aggressive, which means you need high stat, which means that you're going to have those really quick statty minions to just play a whole bunch of with Hagatha and hit the face and just run quickly. But if you do that, Hagatha's going to blow up your board. Are you guys seeing the problem here? Everything that we see from this hypothetical deck that the shaman deck wants to do works against each other in every sense of the way of the term. Any way you can think of it. It has to be mid-range but fast. It wants to play spells but minions. It damages your own board but wants you to have a ton of minions on board. It doesn't know what it wants to do. Every single one of these cards acts against itself based on the type of deck you want to play. Because if you're going to be drawing a bunch of minions from your deck, if you're just going to be drawing your deck out really quickly, and it's not like you're looking for a combo, because you have to be playing minions to get these random spells to help control the board, which Bogshaper's then going to use to just draw more minions out of your deck until you've drawn all the minions out of your deck, and then, whoops. It wants to be aggressive and mid-range. It wants to be spell-focused and minion. It wants to focus a lot on spells, but also focus a lot on minions. It wants to focus on aggressive-type minions, which means a lot of minions. It wants to focus as a zoo deck, but it also wants to control and wipe the board. There's no way this deck works. And I know people are going to try, but given and just looking at everything that these cards are telling me that they want to do, every single one of these cards works against every other single one of these other cards, so that your deck is kind of torn apart because every facet of the deck is working against itself in another facet. This deck is shooting itself in the foot, throwing the gun away, grabbing another foot gun, reloading, and then shooting the other foot. This is bad. Bogshaper might be... No, Bogshaper's bad. Hagatha's bad. Witch's Apprentice is bad. The Pot is bad. This entire archetype is bad.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Alright. First of all, they're not all overload. So, I'm gonna go and give you a negative point on that one.
Wait. Your big thing is like, oh, not all the spells are overload, so you're obviously wrong. Shaman is known for its overload spells, and all of the good Shaman spells are overload spells, which means the spells you do want from Shaman are overload spells. And if they're not, you might have a few good ones, but most of them are junk, completely useless, and trash. Shaman has an incredibly weak spell set.
Okay,
and if you do get the incredibly good spells, you are just overloading your mana crystals, which is going to work against you in another sense of the term. This just doesn't work. And trying to say my entire argument is null and void because, oh, you're wrong. They're not all overload spells, Bulb. Well, of course I know that. I'm not an idiot.
I didn't even get started, you jackass. Let me get started, and then we'll go from there. For one, they're not all overload. Number two, the Bogshaper, you're probably not going to actively jump in and just go, alright, I'm making sure I throw this in the deck. You can discover it off of something like Certain Calamos. So you can potentially run elementals to go along with it. Number two, or three at this point, potentially, because I've just lost all my points because you just basically just went off the rails. there are some good spells within Shaman that you can get. Healing Rain being one. It's not Overload. Wouldn't you know it? Lesser Sapphire Spellstone. While it works on the Overload, you can heal and rebuild that board back up if you want to. Having copies of Bloodlust come to the hand from Hagatha, or having Bloodlust in the deck for that matter. To be able to start going in and going through to your opponent. Primal Talisman. Need I keep going on? You can also control with, like, Avalanche. So it's not completely and utterly terrible.
Okay, now, do you play Hagatha? Do you play Witch's Apprentice? Do you play the Pot? Do you play Bogshaper in an elemental deck?
I can find a way to do it.
Just because you can find a way, I can find a way to do really bad stuff in other decks too. Just because you can find a way to do it, do you run them in that deck? Do they work together in that deck?
All together? Probably not.
Where is the deck that they all work together? Because you are avoiding the big point, trying to just, attack my argument on piddly things, stuff that doesn't matter. My whole point is that they do not work together at all. And even in elementals, they do not work together because that's kind of not what elementals want to do. So, if they don't work good together, it's trash.
The Witch's Cauldron, I can take and go, nah, because that's a neutral. I don't need it. Hagatha, I'm controlling with it. Bogshaper, I'm going to use it to be able to start drawing and getting cards from my deck. Hagatha, of course, to control the board. And get refill on spells. What else was there again that you were...
Witch's Apprentice.
Witch's Apprentice. Let's not even get started with that thing. Everybody knows that thing's just dumpster.
Here's the thing. Bogshaper's not going to be played. Hagatha's not going to be played. They're not going to be played in an elemental deck. They're not going to be played in a shaman deck. It's going to die in a fire. People need to stop trying to defend them. They don't work together. They are garbage.
Someone's going to find a way to make it good and useful.
Well, more power to Toast.
I won't say Toast, but someone will find a way. Do we go to Deathweb Spider?
Because here's the big thing I just want to go. Because are you going to play a Hagatha deck?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I thought about it. I have honestly thought about figuring out how to make it work.
What deck do you play it in?
I'm looking at, again, Elemental, and I'm also looking at a control deck.
I think it'll turn out like the Quest Hunter. I think she's that bad. I think that Bogshaper is that bad.
I don't know if I put it main deck or if I make it to where it is found from Kalamos. I have to figure that part out. You're a hidden little thing. You're a 5 cost, and plus you're a spider, so I figure you're going to be hiding. Battle Cry, my hero damage took damage this turn. Gain lifesteal. Warlock does hurt itself a good bit. Got at least a decent attack. Nice sizable bottom. But do we put it anywhere? I can potentially look at it and go zoo. But that's about as far as I can see. I look to you both, and I go, what do you see?
I can see it in zoo. Warlock does have a lot of different ways that they can hurt themselves on the same turn that comes out. Maybe a non-cube mid-range Warlock deck. But it's probably more likely going to see play in zoo. And I think that lifesteal is just going to be so key to why it sees play. Especially with some of the cards that are rotating out for zoo. I think Deathweb Spider probably finds a home somewhere. Next up we have Blood Witch. It's a 4-cost 3/6 Warlock minion with the effect at the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to your hero. Now, given that we're talking about Deathweb Spider and we're going to be talking about another Warlock minion, you're going to think, hey, this is perfect to deal damage. Except, here's the thing. Warlock's hero power deals damage. And Warlock got a lot of things in the last expansion. I got a couple things in the last expansion that deal damage are just better. Kobold Librarian is a great way to deal damage. As well as, I think it's the Vulgar Homunculus. The 2-cost, with taunt.
Believe so, yes.
Yeah, both of them are just so much better. They deal damage the turn they're summoned, and you can basically use them to combo out into one of these other minions. Blood Witch dealing 1 damage to you per turn. Especially even in zoo, it's not going to be worth it for the stat line, and it's just not going to be worth it just for that constant damage. Yes, zoo doesn't care about damaging themselves too much, but if it's going to be constant, it's kind of going to be a problem. And for that, I think Blood Witch just doesn't see play because Warlock just has better ways to damage themselves that doesn't include constant damage over time. So I think Blood Witch is just going to be a trash tier card.
I can't even make a flippin' I see Blood Witch and I just go, you're a 3/6. Cool, I'm just gonna let you do your thing and just go over to the other card that was revealed alongside you because there were a trio of you for Duskbat. 3-cost 2/4 Beast, Battle Cry. If your hero took damage this turn, summon 2 1/1 bats. Zoo. Just zoo. Cause turn 5 if need be, tap. Turn 4, I've gotten myself hit by the Kobold Librarian. Play it. I potentially nuked the board with Hellfire by turn 7 and then just play Duskbat just because. There's multiple different ways you can get Duskbat and its trigger effect. So I can see Duskbat seeing play.
Duskbat sees play in zoo. In fact, if only one of the cards of these 3 sees play, it's going to be Duskbat. I mean, that goes into zoo every single time. So yeah, this is going to be this card's going to see play. Next up, we have Swift Messenger, which is a 4-cost 2/6 minion With Rush, it's also a working card, which means that each turn it's in your hand, you swap its attack and health. I think this card is probably going to see some play, especially if you're going to play Rush Rush cards. As a 2/6 with Rush, you can go in, kill something small, and still has a big butt to kind of be there and help contest the board a little bit. Or if it's a 6/2, it rushes in and kills something big. It's just overall, it's good for board control. It's probably one of the few Rush minions I think is just overall good, and we'll probably see some degree of play.
To some degree, yes. I see more of this going in Arena for a definite, because it's a really good Arena card. Constructed Tempo's Rush Warrior? Go! That's about it where I can see that. I'm gonna back up because you skipped over Dire Frenzy.
Oh, I did. I skipped right over it. I missed it. It was D's and D's, and I just missed it. Yeah, I was looking forward to actually talking about it, too.
That's what I was saying. If anything, I'll back up and get it. Because it's the 4 cost, you give a beast +3/+3, and you shuffle 3 copies of said beast, or said beast thingy into your deck with 3/3/3. Good spell. Definitely sees play. I still like the ideal of the board control idea of just being able to just go and 4, and we're just going to make 4/4s, and then do Torpedo Warden, pull it back out of the deck, and just keep potentially going face with it. But then again, that's, you know, crazy combo land. I kick it over to you because more than likely, I figure you'll probably bring up Savannah Highmane.
Well, I wasn't, but okay. I was actually going to say I think this card is meta-defining.
Oh, yeah.
Giving beast +3/+3 is 4/4 is great, especially when you shuffle 3 copies into your deck. This could be any beast, and Hunter has a ton of them. Just using this to buff something up and to scary levels that your opponent now has to deal with, and then attacking, you know, whether it's face or another minion, that's fine. But you're also putting 3 of them in your deck. This is good for, one of the first things I thought of is just like, number one, this is good for any hunter. But especially, let's say that you're playing Quest Hunter, you're not playing a Baku version, just a regular Quest Hunter. Dire Frenzy, you play this on one of your 1/1s. Make it bigger and scary to help contest the board. And you now have 3 more big copies of that 1/1 in your deck to help you out the quest, or just be really big threats later on in the game. I think in non-Baku versions of the Quest Hunter, if it exists, you put in Dire Frenzy. But even without that, Dire Frenzy goes into every single Hunter deck. It's just that good. So yeah, we're going to be seeing it. Hunter making a beast big and putting 3 copies of that into their deck. Yes, please. This is... Yeah. I don't say meta-defining a lot, but I'm just going to say it. This is a meta-defining card. So up next we have Gilnean Royal Guard. It's an 8-cost 3/8 with Divine Shield and Rush. It's also a working card, which means that each turn it's in your hand, you swap the attack and health. As it is, I think it might be too expensive, but then again, Divine Shield and Rush might make it worth it. Especially if you use it to, when it's in Sworn form, to just attack something big and kill it, and now you have Gilnean Royal Guard staring down at your opponent. It's an 8/3. Yeah, it's easily dealt with if they can deal with it, but if not, that's a ton of damage. Or a 3/8. It can take care of something small, doesn't get hurt, and now has a big butt. So that's pretty good. I keep on going. I think the it being an 8 cost might be too big. But I think I think it has a good chance of maybe seeing some play in certain decks. But out of all the decks, I think it might see play would be a Lady in White deck. An 8 cost, 8/8 with Divine Shield and Rush. Be afraid. be very afraid. I think this card sees play.
It definitely does in Arena for sure, because it takes care of the Lich King problem. So they've got a definite counter there. Lady in White, you make a point. So I'm like, I can see it. I can see it being tested early on in Constructed, but I don't know if it stays in Constructed. I'll have to wait and see how things shift and shape out. But speaking of shifting, we do have Spellshifter, which is the last of another set of trio cards that were announced. 2 cost, 1/4, +1 spell damage. Each turn it's in your hand. Its attack and its health. Why would I play a 2-cost swapping Dalaran Mage when Dalaran Mage is 3 and I'm guaranteed the 1/4? The +1 spell damage is okay, but this is easily dealt with in Worgen forms. Filler. Well, I'm going to you on that one.
It's not going to see play. As a 1/4, it's not good enough as a spell damage minion. You've had better access before, and even if there's not a better 2-cost spell damage minion, you could just wait for Black Cat on 3. And as a 4/1, it's too easily dealt with. This is just the spell damage is just not good enough for this minion. It's garbage. It's not going to see play at all. Next up, we have Dollmaster Dorian, which is a 5-cost 2/6 legendary, with the effect whenever you draw a minion, summon a 1/1 copy of it. This isn't going to go into every deck, but certain combo decks, certain decks that you're looking for some high-value minions that you don't care that they're 1/1s, that you're just trying to get a lot of use out of their effects. Maybe some decks where you kind of want to mess around on the board. Big Priest, if you're trying to cheat out a huge minion effect early, I think Dollmaster Dorian really works. Otherwise, no, you don't put this into every deck. There are so many downsides to trying to put into every deck, or trying to put it into certain decks. But in certain combo decks, and certain decks where you're trying to cheat out a minion effect, stuff like that, I think Dollmaster Dorian is very effective. I think especially in the big quote-unquote decks, where you're trying to make use of some of those bigger death rattles, or some of those bigger effects. So I think it could be very interesting, and I'm really interested to see what people do with it.
I only have one conundrum and one issue with Dollmaster Dorian. And there's only one that I have with it. Is that your opponent knows what's in your hand now. But, other than that, being able to have really good cards kind of spit and be vomited onto the board, that your opponent has to sit there and just go, man, what am I gonna deal with this? I like it. It's super nice.
Well, they're 1/1s, they're easy to deal with, so...
Well,
the thing is, unless they have to pose a big enough threat on their own, kind of then, to be worth it.
Oh, if anything, I can potentially get you thinking of things like... Well, my brain immediately thinks like Naga Sea Witch, and like, not with this one. But like getting the 1/1 of The Earth Mother Lives. Bloodhoof.
Yeah, Bloodhoof Brave.
Yeah, Bloodhoof Brave.
You're talking about Karen. You're talking about Karen, right?
Yes. Yes. And if anything, like, if you want to look into the wild side of things as well, getting a 1/1 Ragnaros of either both Dark, like the Fire Lord and the Light Lord, because I decided to go, I'm going to play this on 5 in my Druid deck. I'm going to start drawing 3 cards with Nourish.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't think I play this and everything's coming up Ragnaros because I can play a controlling game and having Doomsayer pop up would be bad.
Oh no, not at all. But Dollmaster Dorian, like also just given that you could throw this and slap this down in.
Although if I do play this, I would take out the Doomsayers in the deck.
Yeah. Slapping this down in Warlock and giving yourself either 1/1 Chargers of Doomguard or giving yourself 1/1 Void Lords that when you play the Death Knight, it brings back more. It's like, ah. Oh, I love this card so far. If anything, since we're talking about dolls and we have Dollmaster, you got the next one.
No,
Is that mine?
I just talked about Dollmaster Dorian.
Ah, that is mine. So it's Voodoo Doll. 3 cost 1/1, Battle Cry, choose a minion. Death Rattle, destroy the chosen minion. Ooh. You remind me of the man. Or the babe. Babe with power. Power of Voodoo. If anything, I do like this card. You get the Battle Cry, you choose a minion. I can kill either your minion, my minion. I think this definitely does work with, like, cube stuff, because you can just look at your board and just go, I'm going to kill my thing. And then just make it bigger and whatever. So I really do think this sees play in certain style and certain types of decks. Plus, you can be able to, cook your opponent's board's crap. So, yeah.
3 cost for removal tool. I don't like you. Boom, you're dead. Some decks, some classes will be able to remove it sooner. Will be able to kill it sooner than others can. But essentially, if you essentially if the player does not kill Voodoo Doll that turn, to basically just wipe it out at the same turn, basically Voodoo Doll, whatever it is, to kill the Voodoo Doll and wipe the minion out, then they know that then the other player knows that they are basically on a they basically have to figure out what to do in that one turn, because Voodoo Doll dies, that minion's going to die. So pretty much you either use Voodoo Doll to basically wipe out a minion cheaply in one turn, or you pretty much let your opponent know that minion's dead as soon as it comes back over to my turn. So yeah, I think it's going to see play. It's a very strong, I think, tech card. Alright. So, up next is, as soon as I can find it, you can hit this out while I look. There it is. So up next is Splintergraft, which is an 8-cost 8/8 Druid legendary with the battle cry. Choose a friendly minion, add a 10/10 copy to your hand that costs 10. Well, it's an 8-cost 8/8, which is fairly strong stats. You basically get another copy of a friendly minion, and you can play on 10 for you can play a copy of it at 10/10 for 10. So you're probably looking for a minion with a very good effect or a battle cry effect, so that so it's just going to be that powerful again when you put it down. and it's going to be a 10/10, and it's just very meaty. It's just very scary. Here's the thing. I mean, it's not the greatest legendary I've ever seen, but I don't think it's unplayable because I think the stat line is just right for the cost. I think you're going to be using it on a minion that has a very powerful effect. And then you're putting down a 10/10 version of it that costs 10, which means that the effect goes off again, and now you have just a big body on the board. You're pretty much your opponent is pretty much screwed at this point. I think Splintergraft is for those bigger druid decks, those ramp druid decks. The druid decks are really using big, solid minions, very scary minions. I think Splintergraft is a good fit for them. I don't think it's horrible. I'm not sure if it's going to see a lot of play, but I don't think it's bad.
I'm trying to find its home. Like, for some reason, don't ask me why, I look at it and I just go, having that cost 5 because of Naga Sea Witch, copying, like, a giant that would cooperate with the board and making it a 10/10, because, some of them are 8/8s and things like that, and then just throwing it out, potentially for free, would be pretty nifty. But at the same time, I'm just going, wait, hold on, no. Because most of your giants, anyway, are, if your opponent doesn't have a response to it, they're dead. So you really don't need it for that sort of thing. So do you look at something like... Screw it, I'm going to make a 10/10 of Fandral. Screw it. 10/10 Fandral, we'll wait. Not really. Not really. At all. I don't know where this goes, and that's what's driving me insane right now. But it's just... I'm going to give it a few cents.
I think it has potential. Like I said, it's probably going to go in some sort of ramp deck, but it's just... somebody just has to find the home for it. I don't think it's going to be one like, oh, it automatically goes in here. I think it's a card that you consider putting it in. And that's why I don't think it's going to be anything like meta-defining, but I do think it might be playable. I think it's a decent legendary. Not a jaw-dropping one, but it's a good legendary nonetheless. I do think it might see some degree of play somewhere. Maybe a Jungle Giants deck. Maybe a ramp deck.
Go.
Just one of those bigger druid decks, or a druid deck that is just focusing on just this really powerful battle cry effect, or really powerful constant effect. I think that's where it finds its home.
Jungle Giants. There you go. I think you found a home for it.
Yeah.
At least you found a home for it.
Yeah, it's not going to be in every druid deck. It's not that type of legendary. But it's not a bad legendary. Just based on its stats alone, it's good. And the effect is actually really good. You just don't put it into every single druid deck, and you just have to recognize that.
Yeah. And I was about to say, it's not the Death Knight for druid. It's not like a Fandral. Or Coon.
Or Aviana.
Even with Aviana, she came in kind of late, but... Alright. Let's get down to this one. Because it's Toki Time Tinker. 6 cost, 5/5, battle cry. Add a random legendary minion from the past to your hand. And I have to go first on this because Bob wanted me to go first. I don't like this card at all. I really don't. there are, as far as the legendaries go in Wild, even getting them for free, I'm not the biggest fan of getting them. It's RNG that has to be potentially swinging and going for me, and it definitely has to be on my side for a good high-roll, high-end card. I, of course, look at things on the competitive side of things. I just don't see this being slotted there at all. It's a fun card for people. I can see a lot of highlights coming from it for people who enjoy and want to see this. Just, you know, on your Trollodin or the other Hearthstone channel on YouTube that's really good, that shows 10-minute videos that has the edited tee at the end. But I can't with Toki. And I know, if anything, Bob, you've got a long-winded rant coming my way. So I'm gonna let you have at it.
Here's the thing. When Toki was announced, only 2 other cards had been revealed from Mage. Mage had not had a lot of revealed. One of them was Black Cat, which, as we talked about, is actually a really good card, but was obviously meant to be more for a Baku deck. Okay, so it's a good general card, but it's not exactly what people were looking for. But that's fine. They're expecting more Mage reveals. But the other one was Vex Crow, which is garbage. Absolutely. So people have been chomping at the bit for a Mage reveal. We need to see some good Mage cards. And the third card revealed for Mage, after all the other classes had seen quite a few reveals, except for maybe Shaman, was legendary. And it was this. And people gave it the Purify treatment. Here's the thing. The reason people hate this card, the reason Eddie hates this card, comes down to the fact that when it was revealed, it was not the high-swinging, powerful Mage card everyone expected. It led people to believe that Mage is just going to be garbage, just going to get garbage, and even at this point we've only seen 4 cards. There's no way to tell that for sure. But it led to outrage. And I think it's gotten a lot more hate than it deserves. So let's actually break this card down. It adds a random legendary minion from the past to your hand. And I'm going to stress this. Before you get to the Battlecry, it's a 6-cost 5/5. It's a little understated, but guys, it's honestly not that bad. A 5/5 for 6 is decent, especially if it has an effect. And a Battlecry effect of giving you a random legendary is fine. It's giving you a random legendary from wild sets. That's also fine. Yes, there are a few cards you probably don't want to get from Toki or however you want to pronounce it. But the fact remains that even the quote-unquote bad legendaries that you could pull from them are only bad if you wanted to put them in a deck yourself. If you get them randomly, they're actually not as bad. Could be better, but it could be worse. You can play it for tempo and be fine. Let's just say it right there. Most legendaries, if you get them for free, you actually got your mana's worth from Toki. Toki's not incredibly understated, so it's not like something like Azalina, where it's a 7-cost 3/3. It's a 6-cost 5/5. Without the Battlecry, it's fine. With the Battlecry, getting a random legendary minion, even from Wild, most of which aren't horrible. They may be mediocre or whatever, but you've gotten your mana's worth. You aren't being screwed with. You have gotten value. Now, you're not going to high roll a lot of the times, but you're also probably not going to low roll a lot of the times. You're going to find just a decent minion that can just help you push the board. Yes, you may get a Boogie Monster, but you didn't put the Boogie Monster into your deck. You just got one randomly for free, and that's fine. You know? So I think that's good. I think the value that you get is actually decent. I don't think the variance is that crazy wide to cause problems. I think the variance is just about right for this one. Yes, for someone like me, it appeals to me because I'm going, oh, I guess I just want to play around with this in the deck. But I also, the more I look at this, the more I think it's just a genuine good card. It has decent stats for its price. It gives you decent value to help that you could use to, even if it's just provide board presence in your game. You know, if you're playing something like Tempo, or, you know, you're playing a mage spell that you just need, looking for a value card, you can go with Elise, sure, but I think Toki is also a decent alternative, depending on what you're trying to get. The pool for Toki is probably a little bit more interesting than the pool for Elise, but it just depends. And I think Toki, value-wise, is about as good as the original Elise Starseeker, who, by the way, everybody else also called bad because of the legendary pool. But the thing is, again, if you are getting free legendaries, even if it's one free legendary in your hand, whether from the Golden Monkey, from the Golden Kobold, or Toki the Time Tinkerer, a free legendary is a free legendary. Most of the time, it's going to be good. It's going to serve its purpose. It's pretty much going to allow for that huge WTF board swing that can just allow you to push a little bit further. And that's why, the more I think about it, the more I think Toki is a sleeper card. I think this is the card that people are going to just bash. They're going to hate on it, mainly because of Mage. But I think the value is so good that it's there that people will just start to slot it in more and more. And I think this one's going to come out of nowhere. And I think this one's going to surprise a lot of people. I think that there's going to be a lot of Mage players, a lot of Tempo Mage players especially, who will play this card. And I think if it starts to be played the way I think it will, I think we will see this in tournaments. This is a sleeper card of the set. Do not degrade it. It's not as bad as people think it is. It's actually pretty decent. The variance is just right, and I think this is a sleeper card. Toki is going to be played. Not just for memes, but it's going to be played in actual, serious decks. It's just the card that nobody realizes it yet. Watch out for this one.
Alright, two things real quick. Number one, if anything, I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't hate this card just because of, you know, oh, there was only 4 mage cards shown at the time, and this card is bad. No. No. Not at all. I want to make that thing I want to make that point very much clear. Because, like I said, I saw 2 other cards that could have went with that, could have, with Toki, been a thing. You play a spell, you get a coin to your hand. Alright. I mean, people could have made use of that in something like Quest Mage to be able to make it to where you can just say, screw it, get your quest done faster, and then, hey, whatever. The other one I saw was you get your spells back at the end of the turn, added back to your hand. I'm like, that's a little strong for me. And that's really busted. So it's like, I don't see that one being realistic. I started kicking around other ideas in my head that could have been done for Toki. Like, to get, like, into the bad idea section, let's just reset everything back to 1. That's like Mana Crystal wise. That's a bad idea, because that's really stupid and swingy. No, you don't want to do that. Recast spells you played this game. That could be a thing. At the end of your turn, give yourself an extra mana crystal. That's not incredibly overpowered, but it's not incredibly underpowered either. So it's just like, I got to thinking, and I'm just like, okay, there's just other things that could have been done with Toki, especially with Mage. But I'm just going, no, right now. The second thing being is, I honestly do not see this being put in tournament decks. I really don't. However, I will say this. I'm willing to even put a bet and let it be stated for the record on the line if you're willing to accept. If, between now and the next expansion, in an HCT tour stop, or a DreamHack event for that matter, if Toki Time Tinker makes it into a top 8 meta deck, because the top 8 is where things get cut off, and I will make sure I save the dust for this, just because. Or if I pull it, I will keep it and not dust it or anything along those lines. But, if it makes it there, because like I said, I despise this card, if anything, I will take and dedicate an entire month on ladder, on stream for that matter, with Toki in my deck. However, if it doesn't, I want you to play Hagatha on ladder, on stream, and do the exact same thing. Do we have a verbal deal?
How many of those events are there?
There are plenty.
And just it has to make it to the top 8?
And it has to make it in the top 8.
Yeah.
You have 3 months.
Let's do it.
You have 3 months on this. Like I said, I'm putting my Hearthstone pride on the line for this.
Sure.
And putting my money where my mouth is.
I'll take that bet.
It has been stated on the record, and it has been stated in the video. We will see where this card falls and where it lies come April 12th when this is released.
Yeah, I do want to say, though, that, again, you have a problem with it because it's not what you want it to be. You got yourself hyped up, and then it ended up not being that at all. But the thing is, the effect isn't that bad. And some of the effects that you were imagining or you heard about are not mage effects at all. A lot of them are overpowered, and this effect just isn't. Basically, you hate the card because you fooled yourself.
No.
And here's another thing. The reason this shocks me, and the reason that, I'm pulling this out and pointing your finger and rubbing your nose in it, is because I know we didn't do videos on it, on Whispers of the Old Gods, because I don't think we actually started doing videos until what? Gadgetan? Like, we had like, one, or, like, another before then, because I think we did.
No, I think we did videos where it's concerned where we started with League of Explorers.
We did a League of Explorers one, but then the next one we did was Gadgetan. If I remember correctly. Yeah. which means we didn't really go over our thoughts when we didn't have anything to go over our thoughts when Oh Gods came out. And I remember you when Yogg was announced. You fell in love. You sang his praises from the rooftops.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I highly expected that not only would I be excited about Toki when I saw Toki's effect, that you would as well. Even if Toki wasn't competitive, that Toki was essentially a Yogg-like card. It wasn't casting spell from Legendary, but gave you a free Legendary minion in your hand from a past set. I thought you'd be ecstatic, and then you just hate on the card. I'm just going, is this the same guy? And that's why I know the problem you have with the card is because of something else. You have set your expectations completely wrong. And that's why you hate and despise the card, because something's wrong. This is not the same Eddie who loved Yogg when he first saw him.
Here's the thing, though, where we can be different on this one. Yogg was a neutral card that I could place practically any and everywhere and go crazy with it. It got hit hard and got hit nerfed really hard because of it being a thing. It being way too swingy. Toki Time Tinker. You're getting a random legendary minion from the past to your hand. I can look back on a lot of legendaries from the past that are rotating out. And I just go, do I really want this in my hand? Like, yeah, you've mentioned Boogie Monster as a thing. It's like, okay, you can play on it, it'll be fine, but I'm just looking at it, I'm going, okay, I know that there's Sergeant Sally that falls into this, that Bloody Patches falls into this. Raza the Chain, which 5 costs 5/5. Sure, it's nice. I don't like. That's not going to be useful really to me. Chuck to the side. I could get Malorn, but Malorn, Bling, Dr. Seven, really good. Sylvanas, really good. Ragnaroses, okay, those are good. RC for Bomb, Pinning. You also have to remember, I'm also losing Ice Block in my Mage. So having potential survivability against aggro with this in my deck, if aggro does make a cut or survive, ugh. And then there's the 2 beasts that also came from the Grand Tournament that I just go, no, I don't want those in my deck.
You mean the beast that wipes out aggro, or the beast that actually you basically use your hero power to just kill things?
Poisonous one can be useful. The other one, I think that was a 7 cost.
No, they're both like low cost.
No, one's a 7 cost, one's a 3 cost. If memory serves me correct.
No, one's a 3 cost, one's a 4 cost.
Acid Maul's a 7 cost, Dread Scale's a 3 cost.
Alright. I knew Dread Scale was like a 3 cost.
Yeah. Dread Scale, if I live long enough, and, you know, the little stuff on the board can be killed.
But like I said, you put Toki in a tempo deck. It doesn't go into like a control deck.
Like I said, I get where you come from. If anything, like I said, I can completely understand where you come from on this.
Because you're basically taking perfectly serviceable legendaries that if you get them for free, they're perfectly serviceable, and just tossing them out because they aren't mind-blowing. And that's the problem. You want mind-blowing, and that's not what this card is offering. This card is offering you a free legendary that didn't start in your deck. It's from the past sets, and there's a lot of really good ones. There's a lot of decent ones. There are a few bad, but you're not going to get them every single time.
Well, no, that's why it's just more or less swingy and meany.
The variance is not as swingy as you think it is.
It's when it comes to this, you're looking at very low end of getting what you need, or at least getting what you would want. The high roll stuff that you go ooh is very low. The rest of it very much varies.
Go in considering you're going to get a free legendary, and that's it. Don't go in expecting you're going to get Sylvanas or Ragnaros every single time, or Carusian or Dr. Seven.
Free legendary, okay? It's just depending that legendary is the issue, because you just never know what's gonna pop out of that Cracker Jack box, and that's the issue, the biggest issue that I got with it, and that's why I basically said, for the record and for the video, I wanted that gamble made. Because if you're saying this is going to go in tournament decks, I'm going, I know tournament players.
I think it's going to be a sleeper card. Like I said, I think it's going to be a sleeper card. I think it's going to make its way first into constructed decks. Like it's going to be a sleeper, and then I think that there will be someone who will play it. I think that people will realize that it's not as bad as they said, and I think that it will make its way. It's not going to be immediately, but it's going to happen.
If anything, I see Hagatha being up there before Toki, to be perfectly honest. We shall see. We are, at this point, 5 days from expansion. Because I was trying to get this up Saturday. So, we are 5 days from expansion. And we'll have to see where this falls and where this lands. I started this thing, didn't I?
Yep.
Which means I get to wrap it up. So, we've still got a lot to discuss before the set comes out. There's a big dump coming Monday. We got a lot of work ahead of us. So, we'll see you for the WitchWood. Most certainly. Till then, go back and see us. Do that.